So when someone asks you where you're from, what is your response?
I'm from DC. I'm from DC. But then if they're like, no, like, where are you from? I'm like, my mom's from Pakistan. My dad's from California. And then they're like, oh.
I was born in Hunan province, China, but I was raised in DC, so usually I'll say I'm from DC.
I say America. I was born here.
I'm half white, half Punjabi.
I am ethnically Chinese, but also when I was adopted, my mom is from Argentina, so my ethnicity is also half Latino.
Half white, half Nigerian.
My dad and my mom have different backgrounds and like different traditions, so we celebrate both of them.
When I was like really little, my family like really tried to like maintain my Chinese culture, but as I grew up I kind of drifted away from that and mostly focused on my Argentine heritage.
Since my mom is a Nigerian one, she has this huge family. I go to a lot of parties, we have a lot of relatives over, and sometimes when she gets phone calls you can hear like extremely loud aggressive Yoruba throughout the house.
Whenever I say like my mom's from Pakistan, people look kind of like, oh, that wasn't what I was expecting you to say, you know? I think Pakistan, when they hear Pakistan, they expect me to be like wearing a headscarf.
I've had a lot of people like randomly come up to me and like bow or pull back their eyelids or, you know, just stuff like that. It doesn't affect me. It used to when I was really little a lot, but not so much anymore.
Oh, you don't look black, or like, you know, you sound different on the phone than how I imagined you, the kind of thing where the way I look, sound, being light-skinned and also having a more like quote-unquote white voice sometimes changes people's perception of me.
I think a lot of people don't understand me just because if I start speaking Spanish with my mom, it confuses a lot of people.
When I was younger, I didn't like being multicultural because I grew up in a majority white neighborhood. It was just hard for me because I was the only person I knew who was like me, who had a mom from somewhere else, and people would think like my mom was my nanny.
My mom actually, she's a lot darker than me because she's like pure African, but our house is like in this like nice neighborhood with white people, and she like answered the door. It was a teenager like selling magazines or something like that, and he said, oh, can you get the person who owns this house? And she was like, I own this house, this is my home. And he's like, well, people like you don't really live in this area. Being American, her being African, my dad being American but white American, I get to see different kinds of perspectives, see how people who don't live like me experience the world.
I don't see people just for what they look like, but like I make an effort, I feel like, to get to know people, just because I know if people judged me just by how I look like, they wouldn't know me at all very well.
How you see the world is based off like how you were brought up, you know, being mixed and having someone in your family who's like not from this country helps me see other people is not merely where they came from and not merely just what they look like.
The main things I think of when I think of Chinese beauty standards is like they want to be like really pale. So in America, like everyone wants to get the best tan, but in China, like people do everything they can to stay really pale. Women are supposed to be very, very feminine. Basically just like trying to look as Western as you can.
In Pakistan, the beauty standards that I've noticed like just glorifying white beauty and kind of European facial features. I noticed that on boxes in stores, they would use white models even though no one there is white. For women, like using Fair and Lovely cream is a pretty common thing to lighten your skin. And people also use kohl under their eyes and around their eyes.
Thin nose, and surprisingly not actually like lighter skin. Being too light is not Nigerian, so my cousins used to call me Americana when I went there, like, because I was like the lighter skinned relative. Nigerian beauty standards aren't as extreme as they are in other countries. People are less focused on that. You look how you look, and there's other things to worry about.
You don't feel like you belong 100% to any one community. You're like, for me, I've always been too Chinese for like white people, but too white for Chinese people. Sometimes it's confusing because you don't know what like box to check and whatnot, but I think at the end of the day, it's really rewarding because you get to check all of them.